Hello everyone, if you love gardening and plants then you've absolutely come to the right place because today I'm going to show you and talk you through this lovely white variegated form of Monstera. It is indeed called the Monstera Albo Variegata, and I'm very proud of this plant because it has only taken a whole year for it to root from a cutting. And this morning I looked at it and thought, I can see roots growing at the bottom. And so I thought this is the perfect opportunity to show this plant to you, my followers and new viewers, and also to just talk you through how to propagate them and how to patiently wait for them until they have rooted. And so all I can say about this plant is that it is really a very unique specimen. As you can see from the leaves, they've got white variegation, and this is actually a genetic mutation called variegation. And what this means is that the chlorophyll production in each leaf where you see the white patterns is non-existent. So it doesn't have any chlorophyll in those sections, and as a result, it cannot photosynthesize. Now that sounds quite scary because it actually does mean that in the part of the leaves where there is white, the plant isn't producing energy. And so if you think about it, the plant's actually getting along sort of at half capacity even. Anyway, science aside, they are absolutely beautiful plants. Each leaf will also be unique. No two leaves will ever look the same, and I think that is definitely part of the excitement of owning one of these. They are considered quite rare, not because they are difficult to grow, but because they take quite long to propagate. And so, like I said, a year ago, I managed to have one little stem with a small piece of root. I even cut the leaves in half to just avoid transpiration, water loss. And yeah, it's taken a whole year and I've finally gotten it to a place where I'm happy. I feel confident I can transplant it. I've had some new leaves unfurl, and just on that point, each leaf might look quite underwhelming at first, but as the leaf matures and grows, it sort of settles into its pattern. So don't think that when the leaf newly opens that that's it. There's a lot more coming. And I guess that is really one of the major advantages and exciting points about having one of these beautiful babies in your house. It is worth mentioning that they are quite slow to grow, as I've said, and one of the other setbacks, I guess, of them is that they're a little bit unstable. And so giving them the correct conditions is really key to ensuring the plant's survival and happiness. And I would say the main things to think about here are good levels of humidity and indirect but bright light. They will scorch if placed in direct sunlight. As you can imagine, the white parts of the leaves which lack any form of chlorophyll will just burn in direct harsh light. So it is best to place them in a bright area, but with no direct light, potentially scorching them. They tend to go a little bit brown on the edges, especially on leaves that are very variegated. And this mostly has to do with humidity levels. So if you can keep them at a high level of humidity, similar, mimicking their conditions in forests and tropical areas where they come from, the plant will absolutely thrive. And I would say focus more on root health in this plant than anything else. If you can get the roots to really go down and establish really well, that will ensure success with this plant. So I'm going to take this plant out of its current pot, which will be a first time for me. Like I said, I only discovered this morning that roots were growing out at the bottom. And so if I take out these, beautiful picture painted. I really am serious when I say it had one tiny piece of root, almost similar to this sort of aerial root forming. And I just put it in this growing media, and look at that. It has absolutely taken off with roots. And this is a really good and strong indicator of a healthy plant. And so it's time to pot it up into a larger pot. I'll show you how to do so. And then I'm going to place it back on my north-facing kitchen windowsill where it seems to be thriving at the moment. The first thing to think about is the size of the pot of transplanting into. What you don't want to do is take it from this sort of size pot to too big a pot, because then it's just going to sit in damp compost and that could lead to root rot. So the best thing to do is just to take the next size up. And so I think that pretty much does it. You can quite easily place the original pot in the old pot, and that does give you a little bit of a leeway and a bit more room for the roots to grow in. but it is not a plant that is twice or three times the size of this one, because that just comes with its own problems. So choose the pot that just kind of provides a bit more space for the roots to grow, and give it some fresh compost, and then you're good to go. So I shall show you a quick video demonstration on how to pot this up, and then we'll place it back onto its original spot on the kitchen windowsill. What I have here is a multi-purpose compost. It's quite light, airy and fluffy, hopefully mimicking the type of soils or conditions that you would typically find on a forest floor where these plants would normally grow. And so what I'm going to do is carefully remove the original plant from its pot. And there you can see the roots are looking absolutely fantastic. Tease a few of them apart just so that they don't grow in circles round and round and round, especially common with plants that are root bound. I think this is borderline getting there, but not quite. Perfect. Pot it in and fill it up to the same height as it was in the original pot. And so I can incorporate this beautiful compost all around. And I am absolutely certain this plant is going to thrive in its new pot. And before we know it, I'll be making another video on potting it up into an even larger pot, and perhaps showing you the progress and how long that's taken. So it's taken a year to get to this stage, and hopefully the growth will now be exponential now that it's rooted. Perfect. So this aerial root can probably be pointed down to grow into the compost. It will eventually grow down and probably produce secondary roots from it. There you have it. And there you are, newly potted up in new compost, fresh compost, ready to grow away for an entire year. And hopefully in only a short amount of time, I can do another video on its progress to show you how it grows, although bearing in mind it is a bit of a slower grower compared to the original green Monstera, which we all know and love. And so therefore be patient with it. And if you can, try and obtain a cutting and try and propagate one of these yourself. Also, let me know in the comments if you have heard or seen of this plant before, and if indeed you perhaps own one, two, or a few. And hopefully you enjoyed today's video, and I have to say, if you did, please subscribe, because who doesn't want more subscribers and more people to take along on this journey of plants and gardening, and to share information and knowledge, and to really just talk about fun green things in this world. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.